I'm going to capture what it is that we're covering, and then I'm going to do it really, really quickly in a quick video. I'll let Brandon introduce himself to you real quick, and then I'll get started on the putting part here.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys all coming out. Some of you I recognize, some of you I don't. So my name is Brandon. I'm the head golf professional here at Whirlwind. Anything instruction, club fitting, anything teaching related, I'm in charge of here is my responsibility. So I appreciate you guys coming out. As you can see, I always like to brag. I'm very blessed, right? We have one of the best facilities.
Has anybody not been here before? Everybody's been here, so you knew. So you're like, I'm signing up. This is a good spot.
Yeah, no, the facility we have, we are extremely blessed. Open to the public Monday through Thursday from 2 to 5. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out about the property or anything like that. I'm gonna let Craig take over.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and I started the jumping in on the Arizona Golfers Facebook page and some other stuff because I've taught in the Valley here for 20 years, played professionally, but I actually teach in New York now. So I'm not really teaching and coaching in the Valley, but Arizona's been home for 25 years for me. So I want to try to help support Arizona golf and try to get more golfers in Arizona kind of plugged into the sport, good information so that you all improve. So cool. All right, well, I'm going to discuss lag putting. Hop on over here, Brandon. What do you think, just in general, is the #1 most important thing in putting? Speed. Right? You got it? Does everybody agree with that? Does everybody agree with that? Right? So there's the speed that the ball, that your ability to control that putt, obviously your aim, centerness of contact. I mean, we could go down a very long list, but speed control is the best. And it doesn't matter if it's a short putt or a long putt, your ability to control speed is key. So one of the main factors on speed control is centerness of contact. If you're hitting it all over the club face, there's a chance your speed is going to change. For the most part, all putters, and as I look across here, everybody's got a really nice putter. The mishit heel toe does not really cause a problem. That's not really where most of our speed control issues come from. There's plenty of mass on all these putters pushed out onto the heel and the toe to really not cause problems. What happens is when people top the ball typically, right? And occasionally people will chunk a putt. Anybody chunk a putt before? Right, I've chunked a putt before. So chunking and topping, which is no different than when we're on the driving range. Okay, so one of the main things that we can do, and you'll all get a chance to practice this, is just make sure that your putter is able to stay really, really close to the surface. Too many people, especially on really long putts, tend to raise that putter up too high in the air. And then when they come down, they've basically lost sense for where the ground is, right? So even in your spot there, right where you're at, what I want you to do is take the putter back about 2 or 3 feet, but keep it as close to the ground as you can. And even on these nice putting greens, just go like this, slide it. Scrape it along the grass, right? That'll give you a sense for exactly how close your putter can stay to the ground. Right, now if you know, just like an antenna on an ant, like trying to feel its way around, if you know where the surface is, you have a better chance of staying close to it, right? So we've addressed that one. Distance of swing, right? So how do we figure out, especially if we're trying to do a really long putt, how do we figure that out, right? That's one of the most tricky things, I think. I'll tell you how I do it. No different than taking a ball, and if I were to throw a ball to any one of you, I would just have a natural movement to it, right? I'm not going to think, how far back do I take my elbow and then accelerate or not? I'm not thinking about that, but golf, a lot of times, we overthink the whole thing, right? So if I was just standing here, and you'll see Tiger Woods, he's obviously, you guys know who he is and how good he is, but if you take a setup with one hand, I do pretty much everything right-handed, so my right hand's going to be my dominant hand. If I'm going to putt down to that far hole, I'm going to take the putter back low like I talked about, which is actually easier to do with one hand than two. And then I'm not even really going to think too much, as if I'm just going to like swing my arm through, and hopefully I guessed right. All right, we'll see how I did. So I could have aimed a little bit further to the right. I could have hit it a touch harder. So it's not necessarily guessing right the first time, it's can you make the adjustment on the second putt. So if I aim a little bit further to the right, take my arm back a little bit further and swing it through, let's see if I did any better. Okay, not too shabby, right? So obviously we want a 6-inch tap in from here. at about 60 feet away. We don't necessarily want the tricky 10-footer. But I know you're cold. I want you to be putting. We've got 5 stations set up for about 10 people. Most everybody did kind of come as a pair. If you came as a pair, stay together, find a spot. And then what I'll encourage you to do, you can putt down to any of these flags, but these are the 2 exercises. I want you to do it with one hand. Try to figure out how to keep that putter as low to the ground as you can. After you've maybe hit 1 or 2 putts with one hand, figuring that out, then what I want you to do is attach your other hand, but let that dominant hand still guide the stroke. You'll feel the difference right away. Because with 2, everybody tends to pick it up in the air. With 1, everybody tends to kind of keep it much lower on the way through. So let's work on that. Before we kind of break into this, does anybody have any questions on that before you try it out?
That's the first thing? One-handed? You talk grip or anything later?
Yeah, so what we'll do, because all of that is so individual, if we see that you're completely a train wreck, we will come and solve your grip problem. Okay? It sounds like a plea for help over here. So
I know this guy well. I think he needs a face mount.
No, so yes, so one-handed, and then add the other hand, work on that stroke. We will come along and watch each of you individually, kind of see how you're doing. If there's something glaring in there that we feel like we need to kind of coach you on, we'll jump in there and do it. We're trying to get through all the stations, get out of the rain, so we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. Any other questions? All right, cool. Feedback, what'd you think? What'd you feel? Like the idea of it? Anytime I go to a brand new golf course that I've never played, I mean, that's one of the things I love about golf, is you're always going to a new place, a new environment, you're outdoors, it's just kind of a new adventure every single time. But then your expectations of trying to play better and score better kind of creep in at some point. Right? Maybe it's not till the back 9 or whatever it is, but especially as a tournament player, I want to make sure that I'm competing right out of the gate as best I can. So the first thing I'll do, you see it all the time on TV. Someone will have a mirror and some lines and they're just grinding over a certain thing, but that's because they're working on stroke mechanics. I know my stroke is good. I don't need to sit there and work on my stroke forever. I'm a really good putter. What really helps me is to kind of dive into the speed control part. So as you get to the putting green, the first thing you want to do is grab your putter, and I just grab one ball. I don't need to grab more than that, and I will putt zigzag all over the entire green. Doesn't matter if somebody's occupying this hole, I'll putt to it, pick up my ball, and go to the next one. One other really cool tip is don't putt to a hole, putt to a old hole, or it's being referred to now as a ghost hole. There's kind of one right here you can see. You can imagine if you putt to a hole, your ball hits the flag, it drops. Sometimes 100 people have come around and stood around the cup, and they've created what's called a lumpy donut. So especially if you go to a public golf course late in the day that's had a lot of traffic, or for me, a tournament course where there's 140, 150 players in the field, everybody puts their ball in the hole, they step right here, they pick the ball up out of the hole, it creates a little ramp up. So you show up to putt and all of a sudden you're missing putts, but it's actually being deflected by the deterioration of the cup. So nobody's putting to these old holes. So if you work on your speed and your stroke, it gives you the sense that you made the putt because your ball rolled over the hole, and your speed control is better because that putt ends up, you can see where it would have gone if it missed. You only want to be a foot, maybe 18 inches past the hole at the most, right? If you're putting to a cup and banging it into the stick the whole time, that ball could go 6-7 feet by if it missed. You don't really get a good gauge of your speed control. So putt to old holes as well. Use one hand, zigzag around, hit a lot of putts, uphill, downhill. What do you have to add to that?
I would say with all of us being Arizona golfers, this is crucial, like in the months of October and November when we go over overseed, right? Course is shut down for 3 weeks. I don't play for 3 weeks. I come out, greens are hairy, they're slow. I leave everything short all day. Right, the easiest thing I tell everybody is I go, pick a spot in the fringe, and I don't ever like you guys putting to a hole if we're working on speed because we're so focused on this little target, right? I want speed like we talked about over there. Yeah, I misread it by 4 feet, but my speed was perfect. Odds are most of my guys can make a 4-footer, or at least have a chance at 2-putting, right? Our goal from outside of 20 feet is to not 3-putt. So speed is the important thing there.
Yeah.
Pick a fringe spot out, come walk over here, hit a putt to the fringe. How close can I get it to that fringe? Okay, cool. Now I'll go to a different spot, right? Because now I'm not focused on this exact little tiny hole I'm trying to hit it to. I'm more worried about speed control.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Any questions or anything on that? Cool. All right. Next station we're going to go to is the little bump and run station right there in front. So grab whatever clubs you have. Come on over. We'll meet you over there.